Good afternoon, everybody. We're still letting some folks in from the wait room, so we'll give it just another minute or two before we get started. Doug, I see you. I'm going to make you a co-host so that you can share your screen when it's time. Thanks so much. Another few more seconds. All right, it's 1:02, so I'm going to get started. So thank you everyone for joining us in our May Food Security Community Call. I'm Anne-Marie Hart Bookbinder, Food Security Programs Manager at the Montgomery County Food Council. And before we jump into the main parts of our call, I just wanted to thank everyone who came to the our first Food Security Community Meetup last month at American Diversity Group. And thanks again to Mayor Moody for graciously hosting us. We had a total of 30 attendees participating who all got the chance to network and learn about American Diversity Group's programs serving the community. We are definitely planning more of these meetups in the future, and we hope that you'll join us as you're available. And if you are interested in serving as a host site, please feel free to reach out and let me know, because we're looking to kind of make them as broadly across the county as we can and meet as many partners as we can and give everyone the opportunity to participate. So like I said, if you're interested, please reach out and let me know. And we'll probably look to do them, about once a quarter. That'll probably be a good pace for us. So next one will be sometime over the summer. If you'd like to introduce yourself and put your organization in the chat, that would be great. We have a number of presenters here with us today and resources to share, so let's get right to it. I'm going to ask Elizabeth Teuwen of our staff to kick us off with the Maryland legislative wrap-up and some SNAP updates. And while that is happening, I will include our agenda in the chat. So take it from there, Elizabeth. Thanks.
Thanks, Anne-Marie. And before I forget, I'm going to...
Oh, Elizabeth, somehow you went on mute.
I guess I can't do two things at once. I just tried to put our policy tracker in the chat so that everybody can link to it and see sort of what the Food Council was doing over the course of the previous General Assembly session. I should have better numbers on that. I know we were incredibly busy, and huge thanks to our policy team, Michelle and Jack, for getting a lot of testimony in and being very active this time around. We did want to share some food security related legislation updates, some wins, some disappointments as usual, but I think overall we were very pleased with some of the outcomes. The disappointment really was the universal school meals. It's a perennial push and it did not pass this year, but we will be back next year pushing for that. There was also a bill on language access that did not pass, and this has become an important issue with folks trying to get access to benefits and receiving information and assistance in their native language. It's a huge civil rights issue that the state really has been trying to improve on since the new administration. And so that bill did not go forward, but hopes for improvements and, if necessary, reintroduction next year. The big wins we'll talk about next are first in SNAP world. We have the EBT fraud reimbursement. So this is for theft of benefits, SNAP and temporary cash assistance, skimming and phishing schemes that we've talked about in the past. The federal government passed a reimbursement plan. Maryland was the first in the nation to get its plan in to actually give folks money for those that had been stolen. The federal program only goes back to October, so Maryland stepped in with additional legislation to to reimburse back to January 1st of 2021 and to go over and above some of the limitations that were placed on reimbursement. The federal benefits, or the plan is only capped at, I think, 2 months, and there's no cap on reimbursement in Maryland. So that's a huge, huge win for our Maryland residents who were victims of these crimes. And the other SNAP related bill is the categorical eligibility bills, basically stating that recipients of SNAP are now going to be eligible for emergency assistance and Medicaid automatically. So this will really cut down on the burden of applying for and maintaining these benefits. So we're very excited about that. That should take place starting January 1st of next year. And finally, the Maryland Meals for Achievement bill passed that provides additional funding, 7.5 to 12 million extra dollars for schools engaged with a flexible breakfast option, so allowing grab and go, breakfast in class, that kind of thing. And those are for schools that are either CEP or provide breakfast for all children who participate in this program. So some good wins there, some more work to do. We'll check back in later this year to get ideas for next year's efforts. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Elizabeth. And, we know that many MCPS schools participate in the Maryland Meals for Achievement. And obviously, there are more that qualify. And so hopefully this funding, will, have an effect locally as well. And we'll just have to see, how that pans out in the future. So that's a good thing to be looking forward to. I did also want to share, just to, kind of, 'tis the season for budgeting, share a note that obviously for those of you keeping track, the County Council is currently reviewing the County Executive's proposed budget for FY24. During COVID, the county allocated federal funding for the purchase of food staples, and the County Executive has proposed continuing that funding in the amount of $6 million. County Council has considered that request, and as part of their process that they're in right now, they've moved $3 million to their high priority list and the other $3 million to their priority list. They will again be discussing the HHS budget, which includes the direct food purchase, staples food purchasing on Thursday. County's aware that, there is persistent need, but federal assistance is dwindling. And so it is required to evaluate how it approaches food security work. And as far as we know, the plan is to continue to fund the Staples program during a transitional period as they set up the longer term process. And they are determining the timeline and amount, but there are no intended immediate cuts to any programs. So hopefully we should be hearing more, in the next few days about the finalization of the budget. But just wanted to keep you posted for those of you who may not have had the opportunity to be tuning into those sessions and keeping track of what's happening. All right, we are going to move on now. It is my pleasure to introduce Doug Murphy from DoorDash to talk about the Project Dash program. Doug, I'll turn it over to you.
Sorry, I had a hard time coming off mute. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the introduction. And I really appreciate your time today in letting me present to this amazing group. I won't take too long, but I wanted to introduce you to Project Dash, and happy to give you some background on it. Project Dash is the nonprofit delivery capability that DoorDash offers across the United States. DoorDash has been doing this for quite some time. It actually started back in 2018. And the origin of it was an employee hackathon. I'm not sure if you all have ever heard of a hackathon, but it's kind of something that's trendy in tech companies. Other companies are doing it now too. And it's essentially an internal competition. And that's where groups of employees come together, they form teams, and they enter into a competition for innovative ideas to move the company forward. And back in 2018, one of those ideas was Project Dash. And basically what that team said was that DoorDash is the largest provider of home delivered restaurant meals across the country. And now we need to be doing the same thing for charitable food. And they were absolutely right, but we really didn't know how right they were until the pandemic. So during COVID, we had a lot of organizations come to us and ask us to set up emergency delivery programs because they could no longer have their clients in their facilities. And it was an incredible learning moment for us and an incredible learning moment for those initial partners too, because the realization was that there are so many neighbors out there that always needed help and were never able to get it until a delivery capability was put into place. So it really had nothing to do with COVID. It's that there were always barriers to access to people getting charitable food. And like I said, it was a real eye-opener for DoorDash. DoorDash realized we have an obligation to really do a lot more in this area. And so as of today, we are the largest provider of home delivery for charitable food. But we work with all kinds of different nonprofit organizations through Project Dash. So we work with some of the largest food banks in the country. We are partnered with Capital Area Food Bank. We're partnered with a lot of other organizations in the capital area. It's one of our busiest regions, actually. And we now have a dedicated team. We've done actually now over 4 million deliveries through this program. We brought on a team of individuals that has background in nonprofit and food banking area to really make sure that we understand the needs of the organizations and the needs of the clients that we are working with here. So that's a little overview before I share some of the details of the program. But what I do want to do is show you a quick video. This is only going to take 2.5 minutes. I think it's going to fit into my time, but I think it just really brings the whole program to life for you. So let me just show that to you real quick.
Ottawa County is working to improve access to food for seniors by partnering with an app that many use to get a quick bite delivered to their door. News 8's Kyle Mitchell explains how the program works and the impact it's having. All new at 6.
When a DoorDash driver knocks on a door, the customer is typically someone in their 20s, perhaps getting some late-night Taco Bell. But in Ottawa County,
just need a signature.
DoorDash is part of a new approach to feed seniors.
It's just ingredients mainly.
The county began partnering with DoorDash in November to improve food access.
We usually get beans and a lot of fruit and vegetables and meat and noodles.
Shirley Hoff has been in the food program for about 10 years. She likes the new delivery system.
I don't have a car, so I've always got to rely on somebody else. And the bus doesn't really, takes you about half a day to get somewhere if you want to take the bus, so it really does help. I'm grateful for it.
Here's one of the boxes that's being delivered. Includes a lot of items that vary from month to month. This one has green beans, apple juice, and another favorite, cereal.
The Commodity Supplemental Food Program is the name of it. It's basically like monthly groceries for low-income seniors, 60 and older Ottawa County residents.
The coordinator of the program says the food is federally funded through the USDA, and they use grants to cover delivery and other expenses.
Before, it was run as like a mass distribution, so we would be in a central location and the seniors would come to us and pick up their boxes. And we had a few people that we did home delivery for that based on with volunteers.
DoorDash also provides discounted delivery costs through Project Dash to support the program. The Ottawa County Community Action Agency says the change has allowed them to reach more seniors in need.
We were typically serving about 250 seniors a month with that process. Since we switched to DoorDash and have been delivering to almost all of our seniors, we're serving about 330 a month.
Seniors say the program helps with the growing cost of food.
A lot of times, stuff that I have left or if I can't use, I give it to somebody else that needs it. Stuff that I don't need myself. So it never goes to waste.
In Holland, Kyle Mitchell, News 8.
Thank you for your attention while I showed that to you. I just really think that that is a great video that outlines the program really well. That is in Ottawa County, Michigan, by the way, if you're wondering where that is. But like I said, we do a lot of deliveries in your area also and across the country. So to get into some more details of this program, what we are typically delivering is groceries. So similar to what you saw, for those of you that are familiar, that was the CSFP program, which is all shelf stable, but we can absolutely deliver perishables too. We deliver produce, we deliver frozen items, refrigerated items as well. We also deliver thousands of prepared meals every week. Like I said, we have a lot of USDA delivery programs, whether it be CSFP, TFEP, SFSP, for those of you that are planning your summer feeding programs. And we're also happy to deliver non-food items too. So I know this is the Food Coalition, but we're happy to help with any type of logistics that organizations need. Just to give a couple of more examples, one of the things that's really popular right now, or that we're doing a lot of, is prescription produce. We're delivering CSA shares from farms. We're also delivering for healthcare partnerships. So like I said, prescription produce, food as medicine type of programs. We're seeing some phenomenal results from that because of the consistency of the food getting home delivery is offered. We can pick up just about anywhere in your area. We will have no problem picking up anywhere. We have full coverage there. We do have a 10-mile delivery radius as part of the program. The main reason we have that radius in place is because that is what allows us to make sure we're delivering the fresh items, the produce, the refrigerated, and the frozen safely. But our partners are able to reach their clients even if they're in an area that is wider than a 10-mile radius. They just have us pick up from multiple places. So we can pick up from as many locations as you would like. Some of our partners work with schools to use them as staging areas. It's also very common for us to pick up from vehicles. As a matter of fact, kind of in your area, Food Bank of Delaware is one of those organizations where they take a vehicle to a high need area, and then we will pick up and deliver from there. Just to give you a few of the aspects of the program, these are the things that we like to show as benefits to organizations that want to work with Partner Dash One or with Project Dash. One thing is that it's very easy. So this can not only make sure that you eliminate barriers to access for your clients, but can also save you and your staff time. And that's because if you're managing a delivery program using volunteers, staff, you'll find using DoorDash is really a breeze. The only thing that you do is to provide us with a list. We take care of everything else. We take care of the routing. You just tell us who you want us to deliver to, what time you want us to pick up. Everything else is taken care of by the DoorDash technology. It is completely flexible, so you can use as little or as much DoorDash as you would like. The reason that organizations like that is because sometimes it's just great to have as a supplementary capability. Maybe you already have a delivery program today, but you're looking to grow it, but you're not ready to go out and hire additional drivers or buy additional vehicles. DoorDash can be great to fill in those gaps. DoorDash can be great if you have volunteer gaps. If your volunteers tend to be snowbirds and go to a warmer climate during the winter, or if you have difficulty with your volunteers during the summer, it's a great solution for that. And like I said, we do have a dedicated team, so we work hard to make sure that we understand your organizations. And like I said, we're the only delivery capability out there that is specialized for nonprofits. And then finally, affordability. We do offer a subsidized delivery fee for most of our partners. They pay $4.50 per client per delivery. It can be less than that depending on what type of deliveries we are doing for you. If you're delivering an awful lot to your clients, so if you're around 50 pounds, it may be a little bit more, but $4.50 is what the vast majority of our partners pay for it. That's below DoorDash cost. So it is a great pricing option overall. I got ahead of myself a little bit because I have it here on this slide, $4.50. We do sometimes come across additional funding opportunities. A few weeks ago, we had a partner approach us a foundation approach us. They were really interested in barriers to access. They were looking for mobility projects specifically. We were able to connect them to some of our partners. We also have Kickstart grants available right now. We had a number of organizations that were interested in starting with DoorDash, and they came to us and they said, listen, we really want to do something really impactful with this program overall, but we can't do it now. And that's because our fiscal year doesn't start until July 1st or doesn't start until October 1st. We need some time to build that into the budget. So we went to DoorDash leadership and we did get some funding to provide free deliveries for these more impactful programs overall. to get people to the start of their fiscal year. So that is something that we can consider if you are looking to do something. Like I said, we consider around 300 deliveries a month to be a high impact program. And the reason that we're limiting this opportunity to those high impact programs is because we offer the service at a loss. Frankly, we don't have lawyer time, and these all require custom agreements for us to provide donated deliveries. So they're available for larger scale opportunities. If you would like to get started with DoorDash, we have webinars, and that's really what I'm here to do today, is to just let you know that those webinars are taking place and that you're welcome to join anytime. I'll give the full details of the program. I will answer all of the questions that you have, and I will also put this information in the chat. Let's hope that it comes across okay. But yeah, so you should have my email, and you should have the link to register for the webinars in the chat. You can also scan this QR code if you would like to register right now. That is all the information that I have to share with you today. I think we might have a couple of questions or a couple of minutes for some quick questions if you're trying to determine whether or not the webinar is the next step for you, or whether you should reach out to me.
Doug, thank you so much. I don't see any questions in the chat. If anyone would like to ask one, please feel free to raise your hand. Doug, you may want to check. I'm not sure if anyone has messaged you separately, so that's possible that you have a question in your own chat. But we will be sharing this presentation out in our resource email going out tomorrow, so everyone will have these links and your contact information there as well. I think this is a really incredible opportunity to take advantage of, especially for providers that are interested in providing delivery services but don't, have access to cars and are not looking to invest in transportation, make large purchases in that area. But any questions?
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me today.
Yeah, thanks so much, Doug. All right, feel free, if you think of them after, we can still forward things on to Doug in the future. But thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
I am going to move things along. It is officially spring. Maybe it's official. I don't know. I'm going to say it's officially spring, whether that's whether the calendar agrees with me or not. And it is market season in Montgomery County. And we really want to make sure that folks are aware, with the decrease in funding in so many other programs, we want to make sure folks are aware of great funding that is available at farmers markets in Maryland and in Montgomery County. And so our next two presenters are going to speak to that. We're going to kick things off with Cristina Berthelot from Maryland Market Money, and let us know what's in store for this season.
Okay.
Cristina, I think, oh, there you go.
Yeah, I just realized, I was like, I'm ready. And I was like, I'm not ready. Thank you so much, Anne-Marie, for the opportunity. I know that I know a lot of you guys already who are pretty regularly with attending the Food Council meetings when we can. Of course, this season is super busy for us, but we've got a lot of great things to share because of that. So yeah, I'll just dive in again. Cristina Berthelot, I work for SMATIC, which is the Southern Maryland Agricultural Development Commission. We are officially a division of the Tri-County Council for Southern Maryland, which we have a mission to support farms and the future of agriculture in Southern Maryland. Our mission actually just changed last week, so I need to update my slides. But with the undertaking of lots of different programming, including Maryland Market Money, the one that I work with the most, our mission has expanded to include a lot of food access, food recovery, food security work, and new mission reflects that. But we do a lot of different agricultural work, mostly working with farmers. And while the primary focus of our programming is in the southern 5 counties, with the addition of Maryland Market Money, as well as a few other SMATIC programs, FarmLink, and the Buy Local Challenge, we have a lot of statewide initiatives that reach everyone, including Montgomery County. So The program that I mentioned, Maryland Market Money, we're a statewide food access program that feeds Marylanders while supporting farmers. We do this by removing economic barriers for Marylanders experiencing food insecurity by providing a dollar for dollar match for purchases made using federal nutrition benefits at participating Maryland farmers markets, farm stands, and CSAs. Federal nutrition benefits, meaning SNAP, including PEBT, if folks still have those benefits, EWIC, and then FMNP, which is Farmers Market Nutrition Program, and that's twofold. There's a program for seniors, and then an additional program for families who receive WIC. We do all this while providing technical assistance, training, marketing, and additional services to our stakeholders. Stakeholders meaning those farmers markets or direct marketing farmers. Again, while we match all of those benefits for all of these different programs, the parameters as far as what the Maryland Market Money or a lot of markets have tokens. Some are using a virtual token. Some might have this program being run in a different form. I know Crossroads is going to be speaking right after me. And so they already have a incentive program run at their market, in which we provide funding to them to empower their program. So it can show up in a lot of different ways. But with our program, the Maryland Market Money can be spent on any SNAP eligible food items. So whereas a benefit that's spent with FMNP is for fruits, vegetables, food-bearing plants. The tokens that they would receive after spending that benefit could be spent on anything that you would otherwise spend SNAP on. So that can include bread, milk, eggs, again, food-bearing plants, and just like cover all your bases. We like to have the autonomy for customers, for our community members to decide what's right for their family. So a closer look at SNAP. I know that you guys are no stranger to let's say like the nature of where we are. You know, we just had the allotments end, and we're just talking about a lot, right? So Maryland is one of the wealthiest states in the nation based per capita income, but not all of us share in this prosperity. In Maryland, approximately 880,000 residents are participants in SNAP, and I think that was pulled from I'm blanking, Maryland Hunger Solutions as from fiscal year 2022. In SNAP, you know, it's really the first line of defense against hunger. We see lines of people at food banks or meal pickups. We don't see the hundreds of people applying for SNAP, sitting on the phone, going on the computer, doing all these things. Like food insecurity reaches every place in our state, and it's also, you know, 63,616 is the average number of SNAP participants per month in Montgomery County, and that's as of March 2023. So like even in Montgomery County, we see this. It's also important to note that for every $1 spent SNAP benefits in the community, it generates an additional $1.85 in local economic activity. So like everybody is winning from our neighbors utilizing this program and spending these benefits at farmers markets and farm stands. So again, going into incentive matching, what that sort of means is like, in addition to accepting federal nutrition benefits, like if the farmer can accept SNAP, markets also may be able to consider offering a matching program like Maryland Market Money, which incentivizes participants to redeem their benefits at farmers market. In a match program, for every $1 spent in those benefits, a recipient will receive an additional credit towards a purchase made at the market. So if a market offers a 1-to-1 SNAP match program, for every $1 spent, the SNAP recipient receives an additional dollar spent at the market. So I slide my card for $20, I get an additional $20. I have $40 to spend at that market. The match amount that a market or a farm stand might be able to offer largely depends on where their funding is available. It's a little different across the state, whereas we have some counties that make an additional investment to their county, so it's able to have like a bigger, robust, not only robust incentive fundings to where those matches can be more, but also like marketing support, infrastructure support. We're very, very fortunate that we do receive funding from Montgomery County to serve this community. And while matching programs can draw in more business from benefit recipients at market, it's important to note that these programs do require additional funding, planning, bookkeeping, and staff and volunteers to implement and sustain. It takes a village at a farmer's market to connect with their community and like make sure that these programs are able to be run and served and accounted for. And like our funding helps to give that to markets as well. And that could be different forms of like we do stipends for farmers markets to support additional staff. So our funding landscape, it's pretty complex. It's a network of public and private partnerships. Again, we have federal, state, local, and then we also do corporate, foundational, private donors. We are a quasi-governmental nonprofit, so we function like a nonprofit, but we're not really. So it's a little tricky navigating all of the things, but we make it work. Again, I do want to point out that we do receive support from Montgomery County Council, DHS. And just in 2023, they contributed over $96,000 to incentive funding alone. And again, that was just in fiscal year 2023. So that impact goes far and wide in helping feed our neighbors. The 2024 fiscal year incentive budget is approximately $800,000, which is our biggest ever, with potential for growth. And because this program, like the dollars are doubled, that essentially means that at least 1.6 million or more will be potentially spent via benefits and Maryland market money with over 700 farmers and local producers next fiscal year. So we've got a lot of work to do, and we're here with you guys to help it all get done. So just a snapshot at Montgomery, in Montgomery County, we have the following access points, as include again, Crossroads Farmers Market, Rockville, Fresh Farm, Downtown Silver Springs Farmers Market, the Tacoma Park Market, Casey, Garrett Park, Lewis Orchards, and more. We are currently processing a few applications for Montgomery County, notably ones that are direct marketing farmers. Our first sort of test run with this was actually Lewis Orchards here in Montgomery County. 2 years ago, we let them into our program, which had historically been just farmers markets, but we found that reaching our neighbors that really need food in rural landscapes, especially ones without mobility, which we just also learned about, is difficult, and that can be addressed in a lot of ways through farm stands. And a lot of farmers don't necessarily go to markets. They rely on like their CSA or community sales, and this helps us target those areas. So as the program expands, we're getting a lot more farm stands, especially ones that are going and getting SNAP on their own. They want to participate, which we are here for it. So if you go to our website, which that's all linked at the end, it has an overall list of all of the places where you can find places where to use Maryland market money, and this list in Montgomery County will continue to grow as we progress through the calendar year. And again, we provide support to MMM access points, including marketing, market supplies, technical assistance. We also act as the state leader for Farmers Market Coalition, so we pass that benefit along to our access points as well, and food access coordinator stipends if they need a little boost in making this happen at their market. Our application is open right now. I know that this call is more for you guys to have this information to rely to our community members so they can go and like utilize this benefit. However, if you know a farmer's market, if you attend a farmer's market every week and you're like, man, I really wish that this program was running here, or if you have a local farmer or whatever the case may be, we have an application open. It's open as a rolling basis now. So instead of like at the beginning of the year trying to shuffle through tons of applications and then allocate, we're accepting applications all of the time, and we can really meet whoever, wherever they are. If they don't have SNAP yet, we can help get them SNAP. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. If they only accept FMNP benefits, we can work with that too. So have them reach out to us and we can help get more action happening in your specific communities. With that, I also do have a page on here, which Anne-Marie will share with you guys, just over encompassing how to get these benefits, specifically for farmers markets and direct marketing farmers. Feel free to pass this along. It's a little hard to understand like where exactly I go, because all of these benefits are like structured throughout different entities and have different ways to get them. But they're all here. If you need more assistance digesting this information, we have like longer versions. But please share this if you, again, with any farmers that you know might utilize this information. With that, I am finished. Really, our website, our social media, our newsletters, they all speak for themselves. Our goal is to just, you know, feed our community, help get this food to them, this healthy, fresh, locally grown food, and support farmers while doing it. I'll drop my email in the chat in just a second, as well as our website. If you have any questions, I'm happy to take them. We also have literature if you are, if you like facilitate some kind of like info sharing situation, or you have a like a library or a club or anything, we have literature that we can send you, so you can share to your constituents as well. So just let me know. Thanks, Anne-Marie. Thanks, everyone.
Cristina, thank you so much. And there's a question in the chat, and I'm actually going to make it a little broader, because what I'm hoping, and if you touched on this during your presentation while I was putting some links in the chat, I apologize. Can you share a little bit about how you market this program to farmers markets, and like what some of the obstacles? I know you mentioned, you know, having volunteers, having people at the market who are able to manage the program, but would you say, you know, what would you say are your biggest barriers to getting farmers markets to participate, and how can this community maybe be of assistance, you know, in helping you get more markets on board?
Yeah, so this program started under a different organization, the Maryland Farmers Market Association, in 2013. While the number had kind of fluxed, the participating access points was typically around the 10 to 15, 10 to 16 range. After the organization was dissolved at the beginning of the pandemic, and then later picked up by Marbidco and SMATIC. And with the addition of like new staff, the program has essentially tripled. We kind of teeter around 60 access points now, and that only seems to be growing. Definitely like some challenges that we face is like staffing capacity. As we get more markets, as we get farther out markets, like I know that this isn't related to Montgomery County, but like the past year, we've seen so much action and applications coming in from like Frederick and Washington. And that was never really historically something that we might have had like one or two, and now we have quite a few. But just as the program gets bigger, you know, that means traveling to more markets, doing like soliciting more donations, trying to form county partnerships to like assist with those funding. So staffing is always, you know, whoever we can like utilize to help get the word out, and like by like sharing our application or sharing to their community that these benefits are available. That's really great, because it's like one less component that we have to use. A lot of our marketing dollars goes towards like well, we have print pieces, and then we also don't. I see that somebody was asking about flyers. We do have flyers. We have a bilingual flyer, and thank you for sharing those, Anne-Marie. So we do have.
So
those,
I shared the one from the Montgomery County Department of Ag, but
okay, so we have some that I can share with everyone. We
Great.
have we have rack cards, and they have we have an English one, and this year we have an additional Spanish one. We also have one that's like for vendors or like markets specifically. So those get distributed a few different ways. We work with Maryland, we work with DHS to do a statewide mailing with SNAP redeterminations every summer. So everyone who is receiving a SNAP redetermination letter will get one of our rack cards, and this year they'll get both languages. We made like a bigger flyer sort of situation. They'll get those. Also, we worked with I worked with LaBelle at DHS this year to for the first time, we are also sending those flyers to I don't remember the name of it. It was something that I'm not even actually really clear on what the benefit is, but it added another 100,000 people to the list of receiving the letter. I think it was like I can follow up if anyone needs to know like what that other thing was. I'm so sorry. But
Don't apologize.
so for the summer from June through September, we're mailing over 220,000 flyers to folks who receive benefits, namely SNAP. I think the additional benefit that we were mailing out had to do with WIC and FMNP benefits. So we do that. We also reach out to different counties that might do like their senior checks for the FMNP, and we'll give them our RAT cards as well to hand out to their folks so they can figure out how to find the different markets. So those are kind of like the ways that we do the physical. We also rely on like Facebook ads. We find a lot of people like utilizing those, and it's a great way for us to highlight our access points as well. So like we can do and I'm going to keep using Crossroads because I see Sara like dead center on my screen. We can do an ad that's like, this is the program, it's available, and then we can tag our partners, put their website, so like we can use those dollars to like not only uplift our program but uplift our partners. And then new this year we started using a lot of Google ads, which is working really well. We're seeing a lot of like traffic on our website and clicks on their page for folks trying to find markets. And I don't know if that's customers, like we don't have that sort of insight, but that seems to be giving us some good action. So those are sort of our outreach situations. Staff capacity is always going to be a struggle with like just as the program grows and making sure that's sustainable. But I think we're doing a pretty good job right now in doing that. Other questions? Did I answer all of your questions, Anne Marie?
Yes, okay. No, that was wonderful. And I think we'll get to some of them. I think Dana's question in the chat probably gets at a larger issue, which is not just, you know, there are Maryland market money accepting markets in East County. I think the real problem is we just don't have many farmers markets in East County. And I think our
program is open statewide. Every farmer's market is eligible to apply. We attend the Maryland Farmers Market like convention, the yearly convening. We also table at other like RMC events and other county functions. I've also like done a number of like virtual, we'll speak at anything that folks invite us to, basically, if we think that it can even reach one person. So we do market it. Again, we use Facebook and Google. If anyone's ever like, if you just like type in Maryland Farmers Markets, you'll probably get us, or like how to sell at whatever, or like how to do SNAP at farmers market, you'll probably see it. It is up to markets ultimately to decide whether or not they want to participate. A lot of why we don't have some markets, especially bigger ones, being able to participate, a lot of it comes down to their capacity. Some of these markets, even the big ones, are literally just organized by a bunch of farmers who show up at the same place at the same time on a Saturday. They don't have a bank, they don't have like a way to reimburse their vendors and everything. So we're trying to work through some different programs, and that includes a pilot that we're actually running in Montgomery County. That's like e-incentive, so that can kind of put the power in the farmer to be able to accept all those benefits and be able to do the like reimbursing to themselves. Again, it's a pilot and we're still fleshing out a lot of things. There's a lot of chicken and the egg situations happening with that, but we're hoping, especially like greater picture, USDA might want to move away from a centralized token economy anyway and put it on farmers, and we're just trying to navigate a lot of that, and it's moving, and that's like really like deep minutia for everyone, but everyone is available. Like everyone can participate in this program, and we try to really encourage all markets to apply.
Thanks so much, Cristina.
Yeah.
I'm going to turn things over now to Sara Servin, the market manager at Crossroads Farmers Market, to kind of give us more the hyper-local, what's happening in Montgomery County and how that program is applied here. But thank you so much, Cristina. I think we'll definitely be following up with other questions.
Thanks so much, Anne-Marie. I'm just pulling up my PowerPoint presentation right now, so just give me 1 second.
Great.
Let me just make sure. Got this. Thanks so much for all the shout outs, Christina. We always appreciate all the support from Maryland Market Money also and from SMATIC. So thank you. Okay, cool. Can you all see that? Okay, great. Thank you. So yeah, my name is Sara Servin. I am the Senior Program Manager for the Crossroads Farmers Market. And we are located in, are in the border of Montgomery and PG County actually, but we're in the Tacoma-Langley Crossroads in Tacoma Park. So our market is open for 31 weeks throughout the year. Our first opening day was April 26th. And we run until the day before Thanksgiving each year on November 22nd is that date this year. Just to, in case, I know many of you are familiar with the Crossroads, but for those of you all that are not, just wanted to pull up this map. This is more so kind of focused, this kind of more so shows the Crossroads area, but you can see we're on a major intersection of New Hampshire Boulevard and University Boulevard, and we're very bus accessible, public transportation oriented, and very, I guess, walkable space. The purple line will also go right through University Boulevard where the market is, and so we are in a high access space. This area, the Tacoma-Langley Crossroads, is extremely diverse, one of the most diverse in the state, with a majority minority population. Around 33% of residents in the Crossroads are Black, brown immigrants, predominantly coming from Central America, El Salvador and Guatemala. And our market is very much reflective of that space and that community, which I love, and I will share pictures of towards the end of the presentation. But yeah, just giving you all a little bit of background on us. So this is actually our 17th season this year. First opened in 2007 is just basically a farm, and maybe Candy was there as well, who's making the pupusas. And we started in 2007 in front of the WIC office with the mission to make fresh food more accessible to more people. There's another farmers market in the area, but not quite serving the area of the Tacoma-Langley Crossroads, which is where the mission to match SNAP came to be. So Crossroads was actually the first farmers market in the country to create a matching program. So that's a fun fact to share, that that this model that you see across the United States at this point started here in Tacoma Park and Tacoma-Langley area, and has been replicated in so many ways across the country. So we continue to match SNAP. We match all federal nutrition benefits. We match SNAP up to $50 every week, and we match WIC and the Farmers Market Nutrition Program checks, and for both WIC and seniors on a 1-to-1 match. So our farmers market is a producer-only market with a maximum mileage of 125 miles in distance. However, one of the requirements of participating in Crossroads as a farmer is that you must accept Farmers Market Nutrition Program checks. And so in order to qualify for those checks, you need to either be in Maryland or be out of state in a contiguous county of Maryland. And so that really helps to both keep the mileage low relatively for where people are traveling from. And then also it really makes things easier for our shoppers to just know that they can go to any farmer that is at the market and be able to use their WIC checks with any of the farmers. We also have a group of community ambassadors who do a lot of outreach in the communities to increase the knowledge of SNAP and the work that we do at the farmers market. So we have a group of 8 people who are based in Tacoma Park, Langley Park, Hyattsville area, and they do a lot of outreach, kind of like based in what the activities that they normally would do, and just sharing information out about the farmers market from there. So they're a really integral part of our market and our market team as well, and really helped us to spread the word about the market on the ground, because I think that for us at our farmers market, the word of mouth is very much how information is spread. And so the on the ground ambassadors are a huge integral part of the farmers market and getting information out there. We also really value field trips and community partnerships. So we have some of the local elementary schools will do field trips to the market, which are always a lot of fun. We try to do them in the spring and the fall when the WIC checks are not out, because if you've been to the market in the summertime, we see upwards of like 1,500 people, even close to 2,000 people in a market day. And for a Wednesday, midweek, middle of the day market, this is surprising, just if you think about it contextually. But yeah, it's a busy place, and so we try to organize the school field trips in the spring and the fall. But in the summertime, we see people of all ages. We have lots of student volunteers who are getting their SSL hours. We are a nonprofit organization with a couple other programs that I won't talk about really today, but we are a nonprofit organization. So students are able to come and volunteer with us and get SSL hours for their volunteer commitments. Some of the other partnerships that we have, we partner with the local WIC office, and they actually distribute their FMNP checks every year. And they come to the market starting the day that the WIC checks come out, which is maybe around the first week of June or so. And then they distribute the checks. They're there every week until there are no more checks to distribute, so until they run out. So that usually has historically been around late August, early September. Last year, all the WIC checks were distributed by the end of July. So that was all WIC checks were distributed in 9 weeks, which is the fastest they've ever been distributed. And I think also they had received more booklets than they had in previous years as well. And so other partners that we have are Meals on Wheels, which is like 2 blocks away from the market, and they come to the market at the end of the day to they purchase some of the leftover foods, fruits and vegetables from some of the farmers. So they're getting a little bit of an additional income from the farmers are getting additional income from that produce that was going to just that they were just going to take back to the farm with them, and then they use that produce in their senior program. We also work with priority partners Centronia and La Clínica del Pueblo, who all buy tokens for their constituents, and their clients are able to use the tokens at the market without having to worry about matching any federal nutrition benefits. And then finally, so I mentioned that we have a couple other programs. One of them is our community kitchen, which we work with the Tacoma Park Presbyterian Church to have a shared use commercial kitchen in their kitchen, and it houses, I believe it's 13 food entrepreneurs, and many of those entrepreneurs have tried out the market as a channel for their products. We currently have 3 food entrepreneurs that are participating in the market right now that are also community kitchen members. Let's see. So yeah, just a little bit of information about this season. So I shared that it's the 17th season. We have 19 vendors this season, including 9 farmers, 3 prepared food vendors, and 3 of our kitchen users. And then we also have 3 artisans that are at the market as well, who've been with the market for a long time. We do special events coming up this Wednesday. We're doing a special Mother's Day event the Wednesday before Mother's Day this Sunday. And then we also celebrate Central American Independence Day in September, because we do have a very large population community of people from Central America. And so this is always a really fun day in the community, and yeah, it's gonna be one of my favorite days of the year. We do a Halloween celebration and then a final fest before the feast, day before Thanksgiving, kind of just end of market closing. And then we also, in addition to doing federal nutrition benefits matching, we also have other ways where we distribute fresh checks, which is the name of our currency, unrelated to matching. So we have a frequent shopper card that we are distributing to folks in kind of like the shoulder parts of the seasons in April, May, and September through November. And so if folks come to the market up to 5 times before middle of June, then we will give them a certain number of tokens to be able to use at the market. And our tokens, like Cristina said, are also used for all SNAP eligible food items. So we expanded that a couple years ago from being just fruits and vegetables to all SNAP eligible food items. So that now includes proteins, it includes plants that are food producing, and it includes pre-bottled drinks and bagged coffee. So just expanding what people can use with their money and giving people more choice, which we are all kind of working more towards. I shared that we are also matching SNAP up to $50 each week, and we've been doing that since 2020. We upped it from $20 to $50 in 2020, and we've been able to sustain that amount since then. And some other special partners that are coming to the market. In July, Latino Conservation Week and Montgomery Parks collaborate to bring this like really cool conservation-oriented science van that has activities, and I remember there being small animals at last year's event, and just a lot of learning around conservation and environmental health of our area. And then we also work with Mana, who has a cooking bus that they'll be popping up a few times throughout the season as well, and doing cooking demos on site. And Emma's Torch, who is also another organization who does food training. They have a hot sauce product that they train people how to make, and training people how to do have more kitchen skills to be able to use those for future jobs. And we partner with them starting last year, and they'll be back again this year too. And then our third program that we have just snuck in here is Crossroads Healthy Eating Program. And my colleague, she goes into a couple different schools and senior centers, and anyone who is really interested in this program, and teaches different ways to prepare fresh food, and also different gardening activities as well. So it's more like a growing your own, as well as learning how to cook in different ways. And she brings in all types of people to teach this program as well, including many of our farmers and family members as well, which is great. And then just a little bit about SNAP, EWIC, and WIC. I know Cristina spoke about this a bit already, but just kind of reiterating. So Crossroads, our model is that central processing agency. And so people, if they're wanting to use their SNAP EBT card, they would come to us, and then we would give them they would give them the tokens that they wanted to take out, plus the additional matched amount in tokens, up to $50. And then we have, last year, no one was accepting EWIC, and this year we have 2 vendors that are able to accept EWIC this year, which is amazing. The amount of EWIC usage at farmers markets is very, very pitifully low. Like, I think it's like under 2% or something of total EWIC benefits are used at farmers markets. And so really having more options for folks to be able to use to be able to have more farmers that are able to accept EWIC is really, really important. Especially the amount of fruit and vegetable benefits on this card has gone up this year. So there's more money out there to be able to be spent on fresh produce at farmers markets. And with EWIC, that card needs to be spent directly with a farmer, similar to the Farmers Market Nutrition Program checks, and then we can match based on what people have already spent. And so we match both EWIC and FMNP 1-to-1. So someone can have $100 on either of those, and we will match that 100%. And for the WIC FMNP, I was sharing that the WIC site comes to us, to the farmers market, so people can just pick up their booklets and then spend them directly with the farmers. And that is generally distributed the first week or so of June, and it's a $30 booklet in $5 increments. And then the senior FMNP is a little bit more competitive, I guess I'll use a light word. And it's a lottery system for seniors. There are more booklets that are being distributed this year, and they've increased the amount of money in those booklets from $35 to $50. So that's new for this year. There will be more money available on those booklets. And then that program is now being managed by the Department of Recreation. It was previously managed by the Senior Nutrition Program in the county. So I'm not sure if it'll still be a lottery system. I still, yeah, I'm just trying to understand details around that. But yeah, there's more money and it'll be operated by a new system, by a new department. So things could look a little bit different there. And then I really, yeah, last couple of slides are just photos of the market. Just wanting to share some of our vendors and folks that are just regular attendees at the market. Top left, there's Jose Castillo, who is a farmer. I'm sorry, not a farmer. He is, his family has a coffee farm in Guatemala, and he roasts the coffee here in Maryland and then sells the roasted beans. So it's really cool. He's like this family-run business that starts in Guatemala and ends here in the Crossroads. And there's a picture of many of our summer volunteers and some of our team. And Nancia's Antojitos below those folks who has been with Crossroads since I think she said 2009 the other day as well. And so she's been with us for a long time. And then Sophia from Potomac Vegetable Farms, who they've also been with Crossroads for a long time as well. And then maybe I have one more. Yeah. And then this is just, yeah, one of our community ambassadors is also an artist. And so this is the vendor map from last year, but she put together a map of where all the vendors are coming from and that relation to Crossroads. So that's kind of just a cool visual for y'all to check out. And then, yeah, oh, in that bottom right picture, there's a picture of Erica, who's one of our community ambassadors, and she's doing a food demo at the market also. And so we like to set up food demos fairly regularly so folks can try out some of the produce that's being sold at the market too. And I think that's all that is all that I have for this presentation. I wanted to keep it kind of short and sweet, and if there's questions, happy to answer those and put my put my information in the chat as well.
Thanks so much, Sarah. I don't see any questions in the chat, but obviously our audience should feel free to keep entering those, and maybe Sarah can stick around for a little longer and answer those in the chat as we kind of move on to our presentations. I did just want to share one thing, and I'll ask Sarah to excuse me if I'm constantly embarrassing her, but I feel like Crossroads, they really do such an amazing job of tailoring the market to the community, and that is so incredibly unique in terms of the vendor selection and the the food vendors, what the farmers grow, what they sell at the market, the location, the time that it runs, the day of the week, all of that was done with community input, which is really so unique compared to most other farmers markets in Montgomery County. So in terms of thinking about, potential markets in other parts of East County, other parts that really have low farmer market access, I think there's a lot to be obviously taken from Crossroads example. And if there were a group that was looking to start a similar market, they should certainly, reach out to Crossroads to talk about those kinds of lessons learned and how to create a successful market in that space, because it's not necessarily the same model as what works in Bethesda or Potomac or the only area. So I think it's just important to keep in mind. But thank you so much, Sarah. We are going to keep things moving along. We're so thrilled to have Kate Chance with us, the Faith Community Liaison for Montgomery County. As you know, lots of overlap between our communities, and so I really wanted to take this chance to kind of bring Kate into our space and give her a chance to present on the programs that she runs for the county, and kind of where those opportunities are for overlap with our communities and how to better work together. So Kate, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. So my name is Kate Chance. I am the Faith Liaison here with Montgomery County. If you have not met me yet, you may have worked with my predecessor, Casey Caseman, who was in this role for a really long time. So I call myself the new Casey Caseman from time to time. But I've been in this role about 1.5 years so far. I still feel fairly new. I'm hoping at the 2-year mark, I won't feel new anymore. But before being in this position, I received my master's degree. I studied religion, but I focused on Islam and Hinduism. I worked for a very small Muslim nonprofit in California that countered Islamophobia for a number of years before working for Southern Poverty Law Center. I did outreach work for them on behalf of their Civil Rights Museum, and working with college students to combat hate on college campus. And right before this job, I worked in New York City for the de Blasio administration, working with faith communities in a very similar capacity. But I'm really happy to be here and be in this role. Montgomery County is just such an incredible jurisdiction to work with. And I just really love working with all of the different diverse faith communities here in the county. Let's see. Okay. So first I thought I would try to explain my entire department because a lot of people are unfamiliar with the Office of Community Partnerships. So we serve under the Community Engagement Cluster in Montgomery County, which has a number of really important services that you might have interacted with already, including our regional service centers. So each area has a regional service director that helps folks connect with different services within their area, whether it's connecting with small businesses or county government. We have the Commission for Women, the Gilchrist Immigrant Resource Center that helps newcomers connect with citizenship classes, with language classes, computer classes. And then we have our Volunteer Center, which helps folks that really want to better become engaged with the county and volunteer opportunities. And then we have the Office of Community Partnerships. So the Office of Community Partnerships has a number of different liaisons. So I'm the faith liaison. So I work with all of the different faith groups within Montgomery County, but we have all of these other liaisons that represent various community groups as well. Some of them are part-time, some of them are full-time employees, but our goal is to better connect various community groups with county government and to make sure that folks' voices are heard. So we all work for the county executive. So you might see me with the county executive at a faith event. This past spring was crazy because we had every single religious holiday that just overlapped. And so making sure that the county government, the county executive are connected to government. So I manage the Faith Community Advisory Group. So each of the liaisons manages an advisory group representing their community. And so the Faith Community Advisory Group has just under 20 members right now, folks of different faith backgrounds. And what they do is we meet once a month and we talk about issues facing Montgomery County, what issues they're hearing about in their various communities. And we look for solutions and we meet with the county executive to advise on policy. And we have an annual meeting every year during budget season to share different budget concerns that we have relating to the faith community, and all of the different advisory groups do the same thing. So I just wanted to get into some other programs that I offer as well. So we have House of Worship security trainings. We try to do them quarterly. Our next one is May 22nd and will be in Wheaton, and I'll provide a link for that. But just to make sure that people are aware of how to, prevent incidents from happening, what to do if there's an incident. And they're about 2-hour trainings. We also do security assessments. So we'll have a police officer work through a house of worship and try to, figure out the best ways to secure that space. We also have a grant program, which we're hoping will have an increase in this budget. But last year was $800,000 total, up to $20,000 that a house of worship can apply for to provide security or camera and camera installation. We just want to make sure that our diverse groups are protected and safe here in Montgomery County. I also offer town halls. So we've had a number relating to affordable housing, substance abuse, mental health, foster care, and we're having one with the Jewish Council for the Aging on May 23rd, and I'll provide a link for that as well. And we also have a really unique program we called Emotional Spiritual Care Volunteers. They're folks who are responded in mental health first aid so that they're able to provide support to folks in crisis. So when we saw a number of incidents from Silver Spring in the apartment, I believe it was a fire or a gas leak, right? The terminology I get messed up, but what we do is we bring folks to be able to provide support to those that are facing crisis, and to make sure that people have somebody to talk to. And it's not necessarily a religious based support, right? Like people aren't sharing their faith tradition or imposing their faith beliefs on those that they are supporting, but they're just providing emotional care to those that need that support. We also have our resettlement working group. I see a couple of folks on this call that are actually involved in this group, and we meet once a month to talk about ways that we're supporting newcomers, because often folks are working in silos accidentally, right? Especially when there's a crisis. So when we saw 900 Afghan newcomers come into Montgomery County and folks are in hotels, we're not sure who's supporting them. We're not sure who's showing up. So we just wanted to have a monthly convening for folks to get together and talk about ways that they're helping one another. And this is Nourishing Bethesda's event, actually, that I have a picture from when they were supporting Afghan newcomers when they were still in the hotels. And so that meeting is open to everybody as well. We also have a number of different ways to help respond to hate crimes, unfortunately, that occur within the county. We make sure to work with local police officers. We coordinate local efforts so that faith leaders can help show up and plan vigils and host, empathetic responses to hate crimes that we see in the county. And we also work with the Committee Against Hate Violence. This is a picture of their friendship picnic that they host every year. It's a really incredible event, and I would encourage all of you to show up. A number of you might also be involved because they have food vendors and they offer free food to the community, which is a really wonderful part of that event. But the Committee Against Hate Violence also offers the Partnership Fund. So houses of worship, individuals that experience hate can apply for this grant and have funds given for property or personal damage. And it doesn't have to be proven that it's a hate crime. Proving a hate crime is actually very challenging. It just has to be potentially a hate crime for somebody to receive that funding. Next, I also see somebody on this call that works also with the Religious Land Use Working Group. So we have this group of folks in the faith community who help houses of worship navigate different permitting issues, construction issues that they're facing as they're building houses of worship. So they provide, guidance. We also historically have worked a lot with community gardening to try to encourage folks to cultivate gardens. And so that's something that there has been overlap with this position before. It's not something that I have been incredibly involved with since I started this position, but I'm hoping to better engage the faith community and connect them with this group that you host to make sure that everybody is getting the same information and the same resources. But a number of folks within our Religious Land Use Working Group are passionate about creative ways to solve problems in Montgomery County with land use. So things such as community gardening and also affordable housing. So all of the issues in Montgomery County come back to the issue of not having enough affordable housing or places for people to live in the county. So one of my areas of focus has been and will continue to be is building affordable housing, and we're working to build affordable housing on house of worship property. So within the county executive's budget for this year, we're seeing this program that will help houses of worship go through that development or pre-development phase and to survey the land to make sure that they're eligible for constructing affordable housing. But we want to see more houses of worship utilize their space to help those in need. And it would be lovely to see more partnerships as this comes to fruition with this group, right? And providing food support services. And a number of folks that are looking into affordable housing right now are actually very involved with fighting against food insecurity. So there's already an overlap happening there. But this is just something that it's a powerful way for the faith community to make a huge impact and support those that are in need, a sustainable impact, but it also is beneficial for houses of worship because, as we know, there's dwindling church membership throughout the country, throughout the world, really. And so this is a way to financially support a congregation and support those in need. So I'm happy to talk more about this with anybody who's interested or thinks a house of worship might be interested. So my job is very hard to explain. So it was hard for me to put this PowerPoint together because I sort of work on anything and everything that faith community members call me about, right? And it just really varies. So I just want anybody on this call to know that you can reach out to me with anything relating to the county. You don't necessarily have to be connected to a faith community either. That is, my area of focus, but every day for work for me is completely different. It just depends on the phone calls that I'm getting in that time period, right? I started this job August 2021 when we were withdrawing from Afghanistan. So the first calls I got were about the Afghan newcomers entering the county and how we could support them. So I started working with a few of you on the call, my first week in this position. And so just the issues that I focus on really range. So feel free to reach out to me about anything and everything. And I also just wanted to provide a few ways to stay in touch with me. We put out a newsletter. I don't have it on a schedule, to be very honest. The newsletter goes out when it goes out, but probably 3 to 4 times a month. And I'll put a link to that in the chat. I also just finished our new website. There's a couple little things that need to be changed, but I'll link that in the chat as well. And I'll put my email address as well. But thank you so much for having me. I know that a lot of this doesn't necessarily overlap with the work that you all do, but I think that there's just a natural connection between the faith community and wanting to support those in need. And that's obviously the heart and soul of this group are folks that want to nurture community and want to, be supportive of their neighbors. And food is an act of love and an act of service, even if it's not through a food distribution, right? And it's a way to connect and share and build community. So thank you for having me, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much, Kate. I don't see any questions in the chat just yet, but I'll give it a second. And obviously, Kate is right. We've been in touch before. We know that there are folks, I see Dave Lambert, I see Mary Bennett, who have been working with the, having, gardens on faith-based property. And I know that you've connected with our gardening group. And when I send our resource email out tomorrow, I'll be sure to put a link for that group as well, in case there's anyone who has not been connecting with them who would like to, but just to keep making those connections. And I think you're right. I think there's lots of opportunity in the future, and just great things to stay in touch with. So I will share that out. Again, like I said, I don't see any questions right now. So I think just to keep things moving, we'll move on to Elizabeth Teuwen on our staff. But please, any questions you have, include them in the chat, and either Kate will answer them or we'll be sure to get back to you on those. But thank you so much for joining us, Kate. All right, and Elizabeth now is going to talk to kind of furthering that discussion of, connecting residents with food, but not necessarily the food itself, but resources to food. This is a great segue to Elizabeth's presentation about better connecting residents to our SNAP team and to SNAP referrals for benefits. So take it away, Elizabeth.
Thank you. Thanks for having me back. I'm sort of the bookend to this call. We're kind of finishing up with a brief SNAP discussion, but I think what I have to say, as Anne Marie said, really touches on almost everything that every speaker. So I was taking notes the whole time, like, yep, great point. So I am here mostly because we've been starting to get some calls from food assistance providers who are interested in further connecting their clients to SNAP. And just briefly wanted to, start off by saying that SNAP is still important, right? We've been sort of hit over head with the message of this really critical end to COVID support. And it was, it's been a hard few months. I'm sure everyone's seen the influx of folks coming to these food distribution events, but I think we still want to emphasize that SNAP is still a critical benefit, and it's still important to connect folks with SNAP. We talk about the minimum benefit because it's kind of shocking to folks, $23 a month, but families are getting more money. There is more money out there available, and you can see all of the fantastic benefits that flow from SNAP just from the discussions today by Cristina and Sara. There is there is support out there for people who are on SNAP. The bills I spoke about earlier on with like connecting people to energy assistance and Medicare, SNAP really has become a gateway to access other benefits. Metro is offering a 50% fare reduction for SNAP recipients. You can get free phones. So really, that $23 might not get you far, but doubling it and access to other benefits is still important. And we still have the SNAP gap in the county, right? We still have more people that are not enrolled that could be. And so we're trying to reach as many people as possible. And so we're thrilled when we get these calls from food assistance providers that want to get involved. And just based on some of the questions that we've been getting, we thought it would be a good idea to share with you just some very basic information about how you sign people up for SNAP, some of the difficulties or barriers that you might face if you want to sort of energize your volunteer base to help with this, and also kind of provide you with a menu of options for how you can get involved and how you can help, sort of make this process a little more tangible and a little more reachable. So I want to just, this might be a repeat for many of you, but I wanted to give you a little overview about what it takes to sign up for SNAP so you understand some of the barriers, some of the difficulties, and why organizations like ours, which are funded in part by the state to help people, do this full time. We have a staff of 4 to 5 people working to sign people up for SNAP. It's complicated. We often equate it to doing your taxes. It's very similar in that you have to provide a lot of very personal information about yourself, not only about yourself, but about your family members. We're talking address, social security numbers, dates of birth, your employment history, not history, your employment status, your citizenship, where your children go to school. There's a lot of very sensitive information that you need to share in this application process. And it can be a bit daunting because it is not just, you know, checking a few boxes on a piece of paper. This application is long. If you print it out, it's 17 pages long. Not all SNAP related. You don't have to fill out every box, but do you know that looking at it? DHS could do a better job of maybe communicating more clearly how this is all supposed to work. That's where organizations like us are really helpful because we've spent the time, waded through all of the paperwork, and because we do this day in and day out, we sort of know how to navigate the process. And so the other, I think, difficult thing to make people realize is how prepared they have to be in order to apply for SNAP. Again, it's not just checking out those boxes and signing your name, it's providing documents, it's knowing how to present the document, the information in a way that's going to get your application processed in a timely fashion. And so, again, that's one of the reasons why organizations like ours are in existence, is to help with that process. But again, we're 5 people and we want to reach as many people as we can. And we see this partnership opportunity with all of you folks who are having food distribution events, who are in contact with our residents who need this kind of assistance. And we're excited that you want to get involved. So I just want to run through quickly kind of like the levels of intervention or assistance that you can provide so that you get an idea of how you, your staff, or your volunteers might be able to assist. When we go to outreach events, whether it's at schools, health fairs, at apartment buildings, we are basically there to answer questions, to provide some basic information about the SNAP program, and to do a general screening to give people an idea about whether it's worth their time and effort to apply. And this is a function that we think is a great first start for any organization that wants to get involved in helping folks out with SNAP. The process and the program itself involve a lot of details. It's very technical, but it's learnable. It's not rocket science. And so what we would love to be able to do is to equip and arm you with that knowledge and the tools to be that first line of defense. I've been calling them SNAP ambassadors. I don't know if the name will stick, we'll see. But really be those ambassadors for the program who can screen some of those first line questions, let people know about the process and about the program, and point them in the right direction to get further assistance if needed. Now, other organizations have approached us because they want to get even more involved, and that is great. If you have a volunteer force who's very gung-ho about actually physically helping people sign up for SNAP, that is a service that is very helpful, and we can help train you to do that as well. But what we really wanted to do today is gauge your interest in a training that we are going to be putting on in the next month. I don't think we've focused on a date, but we'll do that soon so that we can make sure you all can plan ahead. But this training is sort of the first part to get your staff and your volunteers trained up on all of those details so that you can be that first line of resource and help to folks wanting to sign up for SNAP. You guys can be the SNAP ambassadors. We're going to do this training in English and in Spanish, and we will record it to make it available so that you all can share that with new staff. We will have on our website, and we'll share this in the resources as well, a folder of materials. So we have our flyer, so you can point people to our direction if they want more assistance doing the SNAP applications, as well as a desk guide that can provide you with some very basic information so you have something to fall back on and look at, and resources like that. I will say, and just to sort of, I know we're running short on time, just to say a little bit more about what we do as a community-based organization funded by the state. And that is that we have access to the system and are able to submit applications on behalf of other people. And we can follow up on the status of their application and provide them with a lot of handholding through the whole process of receiving SNAP. It's not something that anyone can do. We're granted certain access to the system to allow this to happen. So that's why we sort of see this as like a dual step, a partnership where you could really provide that screening, the information, the intake, and if necessary, pass on to organizations like ours. MANA does the same thing, Maryland Hunger Solutions, so that we can offer folks as much assistance as they need in this whole process. So I'll stop there. Be on the lookout for this future training. Please indicate in the chat if you think this is something that you would be interested in, and if you have any questions, we really invite them ahead of time so we can make sure that this is accessible and useful to everyone.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. And I'm seeing some definite yeses in the chat roll in. So that is great. That thanks to Elizabeth for identifying a need that resonates so well with you all. And we'll be sure to keep you posted on that. I do also want to make you aware of another training opportunity that is coming up exactly 1 week from today in most of this time slot from 1:30 to 2:30. We are going to be hosting, in partnership with MANA Food Center and Community Food Rescue, a webinar on keeping food safe to share. So for those of you who are recovering food, accepting recovered food, make sure you know everything that you should be doing to make sure that that food is safe to accept. That you're holding it in ways that are then safe to share it with others, and what you can relay to consumers about how they can make sure to keep it safe once they take it home from you. So I am going to put the registration link for that in the chat. And it will also go out again in the resource email that we share tomorrow, and hopefully you're receiving our food security newsletter, which went out on Wednesday of last week. It was shared in there, so some of you may already be familiar with it, but we hope to see you there. Just a really big thank you to all of our many speakers today. This was a packed call, and amazing congratulations to you all for ending. It's only 2:29, but to Doug from DoorDash, to Cristina for Maryland Market Money, Sara for Crossroads Farmers Market, to Kate Chance from the Montgomery County government, and of course to Elizabeth for kicking us off and rounding us off today. Just great to see everyone, and hope to see many of you next week and on our next food security community call, which is currently scheduled for Monday, June 12th. So everyone have a great rest of your day.
You.
Thank you, Anne-Marie. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Anne-Marie.
Thank you.